Welcome to another installment. Let's go ahead and see what's in the news bag here, what's going on in Southeast Asia. Well, here we got a guy, a very familiar story. Guy does exactly the opposite of what I've been saying for like 12, 13 years now, is if you want a relationship with a Filipina, and she's in the Philippines and you're in your home country. I know not everybody can spend 6 months, a year in the Philippines. I understand that. I understand, guys got to work and whatever. But it's 9 times out of 10 a complete disaster, as it was for this guy who ended up on Rafi Tulfo. For those not familiar, Rafi Tulfo is like a TV program where he handles stuff like this, kind of like Donahue or Dr. Phil, that kind of thing, except he's more of a legal advocate, somewhat of an arbitrator, if you will. So anyways, as I've always said, you really got to get to know this woman that you're dealing with in person, not long distance. Because what happens is long distance, you start filling in the gaps, you start believing what you want to believe, and you might be dealing with a good woman. But the problem is you have no way to verify that from thousands of miles away. You have to take her at her word. And scammers know this. And they will flat out lie and tell you, yes, I love you. You're the only guy I'm talking to. I can't wait till you get here. I'm not married. I'm not a lesbian. I'm not a ladyboy. I don't have any kids. They will tell you whatever they want to tell you. And you have no way to know and check up on it. So sadly, that's what happened here with this guy. I do believe to some degree there was a bit of misunderstanding, but and I do believe, and I won't play the whole video, it's like a half hour long, but I do believe that at least 50, if not 70% of the outcome of this is his fault. Because you have to expect in this world, some people are going to lie to you. Now, again, if you only know a person online, and then the next thing you know, you're sending them $100,000 or more to build a house, and you're not even married to this person, and then you find out that, and here's another little red flag to look out for, on her dating site profile, under status, she put complicated. Okay, anytime you see complicated, that means it's complicated. It's going to complicate your life. Like with this guy. What did complicated mean? Well, she's married, but only paper married, and, she doesn't see the husband that much, and this and that, and there's some kids, and, complicated. How many of you guys really think about it? Said to yourself, oh, I'm going to get online and do something that will complicate my life. Okay, nobody ever thinks that way, but that's exactly what this guy did. He saw on her profile complicated and said, oh yeah, I want some of that. And so what ended up happening? He's talking to her, he's chatting her, he's building up all these emotions and feelings for her, not based on reality, but just based on video chats. Again, none of which he could verify. And next thing you know, after he sent her all this money, finds out she's married. And she was hoping, to tell him later, and he would pay for the annulment, and then they could live happy to, ever after. That's her story anyway. And she's got a whole lot of tears, as you can see in the photo here, to sell that story. Is it true? I don't know. I've never met the woman. Again, I don't know anything about her. I've never met her. All I've seen is what I see in video on, the flat screen. So, as you can see here, I did leave a little comment or introduction. And yet another guy, unwilling to take things slowly, learns the hard way that you don't lead with your money. You don't build a relationship online and then start making commitments or large money transfers based on an LDR, long distance relationship. Again, if you come to the site, you can click on it. You can see the whole half-hour video. It's actually a response video. If you want the original video without the commentary from the other guy doing a response video, you'll have to go to Rafi Tulfo's YouTube site. Now it says here, troubled wealthy co-founder of a fashion giant, was that ASOS, dead after 18-story plummet in Thailand. A real mystery. okay, it is a mystery. Nobody knows how he went from 18 floors up to going over the balcony and, impacting the ground. But here's the real mystery to me. Anybody that is familiar with Thailand, and I've followed Thai news just out of curiosity for years, and it is amazing how many people end up taking a dive in Thailand. Now, there's a couple different theories because it happens a lot. You don't find this same kind of news in Manila or Cebu, but in Thailand, it just happens a lot. And so theories that I've read over the years, some people say, oh, well, it's expat goes to Thailand, lives it up, gets his heart broken, runs out of money, he's despondent, and he's taken a dive off the balcony. So that's one story. But it doesn't fit guys like this, who doesn't look like he's hurting for money. Also, it doesn't say here, but it seems like it was just a visit. It's not like he was there long enough to, lose all hope in life. Now, another theory is that there's criminal intent behind this, where, expat goes to Thailand, gets a condo up, on the 12th, 13th, 18th floor, whatever, goes out, meets either a Thai woman or someone that he thinks is a Thai woman. They go back to his place. And what I have seen repeatedly is that there was a disagreement over the exchange of money for services. And what I'm surprised is that in several of the news articles I've read, there's two ladyboys that hung around and, their story to the cops, yeah, we were having a little bit of an argument and then he threw himself over the balcony. Just doesn't make sense. What makes more sense is maybe the handlers for these, I don't know if you call them ladies of the night, they're not really ladies. Maybe they got involved and said, hey, you're going to pay or you're going to go over the balcony. That's another theory. Another theory is that these guys are up in their balcony, they get drunk, they're living alone, they get, really hammered, they go out to the balcony. And I have seen this even at malls in the Philippines. Because most Filipino and Thai people are a bit shorter than us big, tall, 5'10", 6'1" Americans and Europeans, the railings are not that high. And if you know anything about physics, there's what's considered an axis point or a center of gravity. If you study martial arts, you know about the human body's center of gravity, which is right about at the hips. So because the railings are shorter, again, because the general population, the height of the rail should be above the waist. The more it is above the waist, the center of gravity, the less likely that you're going to tip and pivot and fall over it, okay? So like when I'm at the Ayala Mall and I'm up on the third floor, if I stand up to the rail comes right about just like maybe 2 inches above my belly button, which is bad. Because if I was to lean over and I was drunk, I would flip over easily. Whereas in most United States big malls, the railing is a bit higher. It's more like almost to your sternum. And you have to start climbing to get over that rail. You're not going to just, turn around, walk, and then accidentally flip right over. Okay? So getting back to the Thai hotels, that's another theory. Guys get hammered drunk, go out to the balcony for some fresh air, forget to stop, and then bloop, there they go, right over the rail. So to me, that's the real mystery here. Well, if you haven't heard it already, don't do drugs, kids. Just say no. This guy here, a Brit, as you can see here, they found a bunch of drugs that he was trying to smuggle. I guess he put them in tea bags, thinking, oh, no one's going to check the tea bags, especially if I seal them. Well, he got caught, and now he's facing the death penalty. So you don't want to be doing this. You don't want to even be involved with people that are doing this. If you got to do recreational drugs, either do it in your home if it's legal or go to Amsterdam. But I can't emphasize enough. Thailand, Philippines, they are very, very strict about drug use, even pot. So don't play around with this stuff. So this guy, I guess he's out there in Thailand, in Phuket. And I'm sure in his mind, everything is groovy and he knows what he's doing. But he's out there in the road trying really hard to put something into his backpack. And it's just not happening. Yeah. So if you're going to do goofy stuff, and he's not even moving like he's drunk. He seems to be holding his balance pretty good. In fact, he's getting a little fancy there. But yeah, if you got to put something in your backpack and it's taking you 10 minutes to do it on the sidewalk. And of course, there's always these guys who go to Southeast Asia, whether it be Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, Philippines. They're not going there to be there. They're going there to run away from the life that they mucked up back in their home country. So according to this article presented by Crime Asia, this guy, you can see his picture, his mugshot here, is identified as a British pedophile. So that implies that he was already convicted. Again, I'm just going by the information being presented here. And he was actually running a driving school in the Philippines, which it doesn't say here whether he was doing it with a work visa, which it sounds like he was running his own business. And either way, that's not the major thing. The major thing is that he was apparently still wanted and was running this driving school in the Philippines. And apparently they discovered his past, and I'm guessing that they're going to extradite him. Something like this would easily classify an expat or would-be expat as an undesirable alien. Now, in the Philippines, you can be designated as a undesirable alien kind of at the discretion of immigration. Now, I do know one or two guys that they faced felonies in the United States. They were convicted. They served their time, and they're not on parole. They finished out their sentence. They have no problem going in and out of the Philippines, so long as they don't cause any problems in the Philippines. So having a criminal, and guys have asked me this before, if I have a criminal record, can I travel? Well, yes, you can. But in the case of this guy, I can only imagine maybe Britain is still looking for this guy. Maybe they, because obviously Philippines doesn't want him. And it's not the first time. Unfortunately, expats are not always top tier guys. They're guys there are some, who knows what that percentage is, I don't know, but I believe it's low, who are simply running away from a life that in their home country they can't really have a life because they're a registered sex offender, they're wanted, or they're being sought for on a warrant, whatever. So good to see this is one less guy that the Philippines has to worry about. And I imagine he's either going to prison in the Philippines or will go to the prison in the Philippines and then be deported back to his country. Over here, this is over in Pattaya, and again, from Crime Asia, they've got a little article here. You can see the photos there kind of in the aftermath of a raid that happened. It says here, Special Operations Raid rescues 16-year-old from Pattaya karaoke bar. Chonburi specifically. Special Operations team from the Department of the Provincial Administration has rescued a 16-year-old girl from an illegal karaoke bar. So this wasn't like even a big, like pole dance place. Arresting the owners on multiple charges, including human trafficking and child exploitation. This was at a bar called, codenamed Bar 31. And let's see, on February 13th, Zeed's Bar 31 in Soy Na Klua 12. Maybe some of you have been there and probably could pronounce it better. The operation followed complaints from local residents that the establishment was employing minors for sexual services, allowing customers to engage in inappropriate physical contact with underage staff, and facilitating prostitution. So the reason I bring this up is, and it's covered here, again, you can read the entire full article, is do not assume that, because in the United States, the moment you walk inside a bar, everybody, patrons and workers, need to be over 21. Anywhere that's serving alcohol in the United States, unless there's some state that has an exception I don't know about, has to be 21 or over if they're serving alcohol. And so there you are out in Thailand, and hey, here's a bar. So you wander into it. You don't know anything about it. You're just looking to have a beer and see some pretty girls. Keep it in the back of your mind. Not every girl in there is necessarily going to be over 18, because there's shady places like this that are bringing in underage girls. So you don't want to be the guy that ends up talking to this minor, taking her to your hotel. When the cops are banging on the door, it's not going to do any good to say, well, I met her at the bar. And then you turn to her like, you're at least 18, right? Yeah, see, the fact you can't say, well, I didn't know. It's not going to help you. So just keep your wits about you, maybe ask to see some ID if you're really going to spend any extended time with one of these ladies. Okay, now this guy, as you can see, is over there in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and how stupid do you got to be? I mean, CCTV cameras are not only all over the place in the United States, but you get to places like London or Thailand, China. There are, a lot of the crimes that I see that they solve, like say in Vietnam or again, Thailand, they trace back the CCTV cameras that are not only in the business, but out on the streets, out on the lampposts, outside the hotels, all of that. And they trace it back and they find out where that guy went after he left. In this case, I believe it's a restaurant. And he sees this statue and thinks, oh, well, yeah, nobody's looking. I'll just put my shirt on it. And then I'll throw it into my backpack. I believe his girlfriend was involved as well. She was a knowing accomplice. And, he just thinks, oh, well, nobody's approaching me. Yeah, I'm scot-free. Again, using the cameras, they were able to just go, oh, he went to such and such hotel. Then they just ask the front desk, hey, they show him on the phone, hey, this guy? Where's he registered? What room is he at? The police. And done deal. So, yeah, this guy's just stupid. And we'll wrap up with this one. Now, this did not occur in Southeast Asia, but it touches on a very common topic. As you can see here, Toby Maguire, best known for being Spiderman, I didn't know he was 50. I see him in the movies, and I always keep thinking he's like at most 29 or something. I didn't realize he was 50. Anyways, faces backlash after being seen with a 19-year-old Latina at the Super Bowl. I swear, this is just so stupid. You can see here the comment I wrote. She's 19. She's not 17. She's not 16. She's a legal adult who can choose who she has a relationship with. Same as anybody else, including the people that are criticizing this. It amazes me that certain people flip their lid over this, but they got no problem with a lesbian couple telling their minor child to change their gender with surgery. How come people aren't, aghast and giving backlash to that kind of thing? But they're gonna harp on this guy? I don't care if he's famous or not famous. She's over 18, and it's a huge assumption when these people say, oh, well, if he's older and she's younger, well, then he's a bad guy. He's taking advantage. Well, how come these same people don't apply that same logic or assumption when it's an older woman having a relationship with a 19-year-old guy? Oh, all of a sudden, the whole cougar thing, that's different. No, it's not. And if these people were honest, at 18, 19, these same critics of this guy's relationship or any expat who happens to be dating or engaged or married to, say he's 60 and she's 22 in the Philippines or Thailand or whatever, these same people, when they were 18, 19, 20, they were making decisions about who they were going to date. But again, it's a huge assumption that not only is he a bad guy, but she is just too stupid too young to be making those kind of decisions. And I've even heard guys say, well, you know, science says that the frontal lobe is not developed and blah, 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 blah. Okay, that might be true. But you know what? A 21-year-old male or female in the United States can enlist in the military. They can vote. They can purchase a firearm. They can take out a mortgage. They can take out a loan. They can do all these major big decisions, but somehow these screaming Karens are saying, oh, but yeah, they can do all that, but they can't choose to date an older guy. I mean, these people really need to just pull the stick out and get a life. I mean, really. Okay, well, that's it for today, and I'm sure there'll be more craziness in a couple days, and we'll do it again. Again, if you want to go check out Facebook page, I update it daily. There's no shortage of craziness going on. I also do the same thing, and I will be soon starting a channel for a different group, which is called Liberty and Lunacy. I will put the link there again in the description and in the top comment. So either way, if you want to check out Expats in Asia or you want to check out Liberty and Lunacy, I'll have the links there in the top comment and the description. All right, and that way you can go there, get the full article, share it with your buddies, comment, and all that kind of stuff. All right, catch you later. Bye-bye.